What do you have to offer?
Everything.
Show me.
I did.
Oh, cool. You're hired.
Yes. There it is. More. Lunch break.
Hey!
Hey guys.
Yay.
She's back.
She's back.
Again.
This one.
Hi. But this one.
Yay!
Yay!
Jessica's second time on lunch break.
First official time.
First official
I guess,
time.
technically.
And your first lunch break.
Yeah.
And this is Julie's like 7th
Yeah,
or
it's
something.
like not a big deal anymore.
Julie's been in a ton of our short films. Our most recent is A Difference Between, and we shot that in Toronto. But before that, we did Zoetic together. You're in Yappy. How old is she?
Yep.
Which I still don't know.
No one knows.
It's a mystery.
47.
But today we're talking about careers and kind of like motivations, changes, and thoughts about that. Because the latest short is talking about that stuff.
Because I actually learned when we were doing all our Zoetic touring that you went to school for engineering.
I did.
I didn't even know
Wow.
You didn't know that?
No, I don't
Gosh,
listen
what
to
a friend, Wes.
How long have you guys known each
And you guys
other?
have been hanging out for like...
Ever. Well, it's funny because I started majoring in dance and then I changed it to aerospace engineering and then I racked up enough credits that when I switched to business, I graduated with business but minored in engineering and then became an actor. Like my two dreams was like actor, astronaut.
So you wanted to be among the stars, and you couldn't, so you became a star.
Wow. So poetic. Snap, snap, snap.
It's called The Difference Between because there's a difference between how you guys act and decide how you're going to move along your future. But also there's a difference between when you make a decision based on what you want versus avoiding what you don't want. They're both very necessary, but when you know what you want, it actually guides you and you're able to focus on that, and it's a much more direct and actually stronger feeling of fulfillment, I think.
It's funny, as we were shooting it, we were like, Julie, you're playing yourself as if you didn't pursue acting, right?
It's like, oh, so successful. Got it.
Oh my.
When we went on tour with Yappy, people that were in the safe 9-to-5s really thought about where they went to work and what it meant to them. A difference between, I think, offers a perspective where it's like, you don't have to love every day. But if you're working towards something, then that's totally you and that's totally worth it.
And then speaking of the Yappy tour, I think a lot of you guys that have come to the Yappy tours, that's when they first met you, right? So you've told your story to them. What was your experience in that?
Very relevant.
Well, I guess before I did study film as like my main major.
Did you go straight into the film program?
No, I actually I went into college as a bio major.
Of course.
Yes, of course. Quickly realized I am not smart enough for that kind of career path. And in college, I kind of discovered film. From there, kind of did film for the rest of my college life, graduated with a film degree, tried freelancing for like a year and a half. It was hard because I feel like, because I was a female in filmmaking, that it was harder to find jobs. Finding a more consistent job was what my parents wanted for me. So I transitioned to be a somewhat accountant / secretary for a few months. But then Wong Fu came up and I was like, hey, want to work for us? And now I'm here.
Yeah.
And it's been great.
And now she's our accountant / secretary here.
Yes, exactly.
Very responsible.
Just kidding, she's our production coordinator. She's very hands-on.
Very hands-on.
So Julie, for you, when you transition from like a business major and like, so what's the second?
Aerospace engineering.
Aerospace engineering.
A business astronaut.
How did you transition from that to acting?
Well, it was funny because after I got the business degree, I would do business but in the entertainment industry. So I would still kind of be in it. So I was a marketing manager for a production company. That was my first job. And funny enough, I met Harry Shum for a second time while I PA'd on a Wong Fu short. Harry and I got to talking. It was the buffet one.
That's crazy.
He did a series of 3. But anyway, because of Wong Fu and PAing for them, I got to talk to Harry again, and he actually brought me on board to production coordinate for the Legion of Extraordinary Dancers, which he was doing with John M. Chu. And because he kept bringing me on, I kept taking off time from work. And eventually my fear of, I don't know if this is viable, became, hold on, I'm getting like enough opportunities. I can't hold down a job. So really, I have Wong Fu and Harry to thank for the transition, and then I never looked back since. That was the one and only 9-to-5 job I've ever had.
Wow.
Wow. So that's cool. I think that's very smart. You don't give it up. You balance it in a way that works for you, where you can do both. And then when you see one really taking off, then you can be more confident about making that move. And the difference between one character really needs the everyday that is different, that kind of excites them. And the other person can sacrifice that, seeing the bigger picture about where they want to go.
Right.
So for you guys, what are you motivated by? Is it that end goal, or is it like the everyday experience that is fulfilling?
I think for me, it was definitely the everyday experience. Because when I was working that 9 to 5 in like the accounting secretary position, I was like literally just waiting for the time to like pass. it was like I can't do this. I don't see myself doing this for like the rest of my life.
Even like the rest of the day.
Yeah, the rest of the day pretty much. So I was like, you know, if like an opportunity like Wong Fu came up, it would be kind of dumb of me to not take advantage of that opportunity. There's always time in the future where if this doesn't pan out, I can always go back and find a more like stable 9 to 5.
You were there for like 3 months, 2 months?
I was only there for like maybe 2 months, and I was already crying. I was like,
Oh no.
no.
I think that's good that you had that, even for a little bit.
It taught you what you didn't want, like
Exactly.
Wes was saying. As I'm getting older, how old is she? It's sort of finding more of a balance of like, what day to day can I do that has fulfillment and makes me feel like I'm productive and building towards something that is like consistent and predictable. That's what I'm looking for now. What about you? Are you day to day or end goal kind of guy?
I think I'm a day-to-day kind of guy, but I have end goals each day.
Get everyone out on
Yeah.
time.
But I think it's
very
interesting. I've had like random like jobs here and there, but then like even in the industry, there are jobs that kind of feel like that 9 to 5, right? So like I was a PA on some reality TV shows. When you don't really connect to the content that's being made, I mean, you don't really see where your progress is going. It's really like demoralizing. So like I needed that change up, and that's also where Wong Fu came in at that timeline to where a show ended. And I was like, you know what, let me take a risk and try something different. And now I'm here, I'm sitting here.
Wong Fu's like that shady friend that's like, hey,
Yeah.
hey kid,
Hey, want some candy?
wanna come over
In
here?
this van.
Look at these t-shirts.
No.
Look, hey, you guys want a t-shirt? Speaking of t-shirts.
Speaking of t-shirts,
Speaking of t-shirts.
that's a nice t-shirt.
This is a nice t-shirt. This is our new remodel minority tee on wongfustore.com. She's
Yeah.
wearing a t-shirt. That is
I'm a long sleeve.
the Strangers Again tee.
Yeah.
She's not wearing anything. He's wearing a Cantel Mando shirt. But this is the wongfustore.com
Yep.
plug.
Check out the new merch, made very carefully by Jen and myself. Everything comes back to us so that we can keep making short films that Julie gets to be in.
Yeah.
I'll admit I'm very fortunate and spoiled, I guess naive, because I've actually never interviewed for a job after college.
You never had a 9 to 5.
No.
Let's do a mock interview right now.
No, that gives me a lot of...
You're your character. You're your character in the short. Wes is Nathan, who's applying for this job.
Okay.
And
What's
action.
what's the job?
What do you have to offer?
Everything.
Show me.
I did.
Oh, cool. You're hired.
Yes. There it is.
Okay.
And that's why I don't have...
No, what are your strengths and weaknesses?
Well, that's really interesting about like never having interviewed for a 9 to 5 because other than my first job, also never, but at the same time acting is just interviewing. That's literally all it is. So I have experienced what you've experienced, but also the complete opposite because for actors, we audition and that's our interview, but that's also 95% of the job. And when you book a job, if it's like co-star, guest star, even recurring, it might last 1 day to a couple of weeks and then you're unemployed again. For me, I've just been going on job interviews for 8 years.
That's actually really funny.
I'm a professional
Interviewer.
Yeah.
So in the short, there's a little section where Nathan's character gets a phone call from his mom.
The most
and,
real section.
Yeah, and actually the mom in the short, that's how she's played by.
My mom.
Yeah. So obviously parents are a huge part of our decision making. You know, we want to make them proud, and there's also like this pressure to uphold what they want us to do, right? So when you came to Wong Fu from your accounting job,
Yes.
how did your parents react, or how are they still reacting to it?
Do they know you're
hated
here?
it.
2 years later.
Yeah.
No, they were not like a fan of me switching out of like accounting and stuff. But I think they're like slowly getting the hang of it. I think one time one of their friends like shared on like their line. It was like, hey, is this your daughter on this like
Oh my
YouTube
God.
page? And they're like, oh wait, look at what my friend showed me. And then I guess that is kind of what triggered them. It's like, okay, this is acceptable, I guess. But
Are you gonna show them this lunch break?
we'll see. Just kidding.
I think it's always like that. Parents need to find that one thing that they can kind of connect to and be proud of. Before that, it's all nonsense. It's all just like, I don't care, it's not stable, but if there's one thing that kind of like enters their world that they can be proud of, then I think that's like the first signs of, all right, I think they can trust.
Acceptance, right?
Oh, and your mom came to Yappy, right?
Yeah, she came to Yappy.
That's cool.
And that's it.
We haven't had a big screening since.
What about your mom? I mean, you audition and interview so much. Do you tell her about only the ones you get, or?
I try to hide a lot
Right.
of the rejection because it's hard for anyone to understand, and I think it would be especially hard for your mother. But my mom is like a very traditionally unconventional but also conventional Asian mom. She was a singer in China, so I think she
Oh.
came up like opera and like pop
What?
songs. Yeah. So I think she already had that like artistic bug in her, so she definitely supported it, but of course was scared of like inconsistencies. How are you going to make money? I had done like a couple of bigger things. I also did a non-union rice commercial with Peter Adrian.
We know Peter.
Yay.
Can find it online.
Shout outs to Rice.
That, I think my grandparents had seen the commercial at least 25 times a day on Channel 18, which
Nice.
is like the local Chinese channel. That's when they were like, oh my God, our baby is famous. Oh, she's an actress.
So rice
Aw, that's cute.
feeds you in multiple ways. So I think everyone's story is pretty different here, but the one thing is find something that speaks to you.
You know, you can always try something and change your mind later. Like, it's always good to at least try something once if you're thinking about it, right? I think that's a very important thing. Like, especially when you're in this stuck kind of phase. You know, you got your weekends, you got your after hours. You know, it doesn't take that much extra work just to try something, right? Just to get a little taste, and then you might figure out, oh, I actually enjoy that a lot more. Then you start spending more time, and then it eventually becomes like a second thing that you do. Could take over the first thing, you know, maybe not.
When you are in something that you feel like you don't like, there's always a way to find one aspect of that is enjoyable or that you can grow from. So it's really taking every opportunity as a chance to grow.
I remember being afraid of making that jump and going, you know what, I would be okay with doing business and entertainment. Then the moment that it hit me was, will I regret not trying to pursue acting, you know, when I'm 45 and I look back? It was yes, absolutely, and I've never regretted it.
And I guess to piggyback off of like all of their great advice, I do understand that we do come from like privilege, I guess, that we do have like the chances to pursue our passions because of our parents, because of our surroundings and stuff.
Listen to yourself. I think you'll know what it takes. And if you don't know, that's fine. Watch some Wong Fu videos.
Anyway, thanks for watching another episode of Lunch Break. As always, we got a bunch of stuff on the Wong Fu store.
And thank you to our Patreon Wong Fu Forward care holders. It's your guys' support that lets us make films like A Difference Between and actually keep this channel alive. So thank you guys so much.
Be sure to follow Julie.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Jessica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.